So for me, actually, I feel fortunate that I was very, very young when I felt something was wrong in the world. And I think growing up with a lot of privilege and yet having a lot of opportunities to see the other side of the world led me at a very young age to feel why, like, what did I do to deserve what I have? And what did other children, what did animals on the street do to deserve what they have? And I think the furthest I can go back in my head is when I was about 12 years old, and I had a diary that I used to write in every day. And I actually have a diary entry at that time that talks about this conflict in my own, at the time, young head, of saying, why is life unfair and what would make it actually fair? So I think that's sort of where the seeds started. I think a big shift towards wanting to work for inequity happened when I was 18, and decided to move back to India, walk into a large urban community, and start teaching. And I often say that I think the most remarkable things I've learned in the world and in my own life certainly have come from my time teaching and being with the children that I've served over these years. The things that I have learned, I think, again, learned is the wrong word, but learning, I think, as you said, keeps happening. I think if I were to have seen my much younger self, I was a very black and white person, very focused on justice, believed that there was like one big idea that was going to change the world. I think I've come very far from that idea in recognizing that, to me, the world is full of gray. There is very little black and white. That it is not the big things that change the world, but the tiny things that we do every single day in our lives for the people around us and the things around us that add up to be this tremendous force that can change the world. So I think that's one of my big learnings, just that little things really matter, and the way you live your life really does matter, and makes a difference in the world. I think a second big learning has been the power of love as a value in all of its forms. I often say, if I had to choose one thing I would want to give every child in the world, it would be one person who loved them and believed in them unconditionally. I think the world would be fundamentally different. But when I talk about the value of love, I mean self-love, and how do I learn to accept who I am with all of my flaws as well, but still love who I am as a person. How do I love the people around me? How do I love the environment? How do I love the work? Love the mission and vision. I think if we're grounded in love, we can figure out the rest. And I think the third, if I were to choose a third big learning, is just the power of our interconnectedness, and our common humanity. I think the world today, rightly so, talks a lot about the value of diversity and differences and our unique identities. But I think what I've come to realize is that across all of those unique identities, there are certain common things that just matter to all of us, whoever we are, wherever we are in the world. And can we hang on to and believe those things? I think, again, it's such a personal question, and I think women have struggled so much on their journey of leadership, and I think I've been one of the few exceptions. And while I've had small struggles, I have not had significant struggles on account of my gender, and I feel very grateful and very privileged. but also deeply aware with the work that I do with low-income children, so many of them girls, in understanding just how tough it is for them. And I think I've had exposure to and deep friendships with women who have just struggled massively. I think my own struggles have been more of just how do you manage everything as a professional and a woman. I have two daughters and a house full of animals as well. And so I think just juggling and learning to do everything and being okay with the many balls that drop on the journey, that's been a very big learning for me. I mean, so I've never had a formal professional coach or mentor actually ever in my life. But my immediate answer to your question was yes, 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 because I think I've been blessed to have so many people that I look up to and have learned from. I'm just learning all the time from everyone around me. And I think there are a few people who have really shaped me in ways that feel extremely profound to me. One is my nanny, who's no longer with us, but was just a force of nature, one of the most creative, innovative, didn't care what anybody said, started painting at the age of 80, like just an unbelievable woman who lived life according to her own terms, and I think taught me a great deal about life. The other closer to a work setting has been Anu Aga, who for many, many years was the chair of the Akanksha board and then the Teach for India board, and has been just a dear, dear friend and supporter, but such an inspiration. And again, the way she lives her life and the little things she does for the people around her. And then one other that I'll share who's had a profound impact on me is a man called Jayesh Bhai in Ahmedabad, who just lives trying to explore what it means to do small good things for all the people around him. And I've learned a tremendous amount from watching the way he lives his life as well. I mean, I don't think I have any tenets to leadership, honestly. I think a couple of things that have held true for a long time for me, and maybe it's helpful to share those. One is just deep, deep belief in what I do. I often say I don't know where exactly I'll be and which organization, but I do know that for my lifetime, I want to work for equity in education. So that commitment to a vision, a dream of making the world better in a particular way, I think that's been a really important aspect of leadership for me. I think the second one has been to understand that the journey really is what gets you to the outcome. And so the value of the journey itself, not as a stepping stone to an outcome, but as an outcome in and of itself. So how you work, the people you work with, where you get your energy from, how you take those steps, what your day looks like every day, just the way to the end, making that really holistic and beautiful for yourself. I think that is probably a second. And the third, I guess for me that's been really consistent is just surround yourself with people you love, who are going to believe in you in those times when you lose a little bit of faith in yourself, and who can challenge you as well, because I think that's a huge part of people showing love for you. So people who can challenge you, inspire you, support you, have lots of those people close to you. I think those would be three that I would share. I feel lucky that I work in an organization where I think that has always been true, and we hold the person to be very, very sacred. But I hope so. I hope the world doesn't go backwards, but really uses this time as an opportunity to reflect on what really, really matters to all of us, and again, to our common humanity and to the way that the world becomes in the future. And I have a lot of hope. I've seen so many countless examples of goodness emerge over the last 4 months since the pandemic. So the hope is that people have understood what that feels like and they continue to hold that close to them.